This time at the Quick Speed Shop, I'm prepping the chassis for the Model A hot rod shop truck for final welding and paint. Alright, bam, I got the box off here and I'm working on the lower frame rail covers. Let's go to a clip of taking the box off. My nephew showed up, he's going to help me. We're going to get this box off and so we can start disassembling the spring. Gracie, can you help me get this off here? Let's see how heavy it is. Can you pick it up? Let's drag it straight back. Let's lean it down like this. Now I'm going to stand it up. Look at that. We'll spin it out of the way over here. Too much junk in the way. Now we're going to grab these. I'm going to take these off. These are the frame covers. Set these over here. It's all rusty. Yeah, just leave it up there. Now, the next thing I gotta do is take all this. This all gotta come apart, and I gotta finish welding all this up here. But I gotta take the engine out and take all this apart first. But it's Easter Sunday, and my family's here, so I can't do too much. But my nephew wanted to help out, and he's in the video. Here he is. Say hi. Okay, so now it's a couple hours later. I'm working on the frame rail covers here. And what I had to deal with was this shackle. And what I've done is I'm cutting a hole in these, and I'm going to make a little tapered pocket around the shackle. I've already got one done here. So this frame cover goes right on here, and it's going to stand off about an 1/8 inch from the frame on a little bracket. And then I'm just going to make a sheet metal pocket to cover the shackle here. And then this sheet metal up on top of here gets cut off. And the box sits flat on the frame, and this will just come up, and this reveal will lay in next to the box. So I got this going here. I also have to notch around for the rear end and put clearance in that. But I've got this guy cut out. I'm going to go ahead and cut the other side, and then once I get all these dialed in, I'm going to figure out I've got to lengthen the drive shaft, get that lengthened, and then I'm going to disassemble all this. Pull the motor and tranny out, flip the frame upside down, weld all the bottom of the frame up, and then prime and paint the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the other side frame cover and get that fitting over the shackle as well. Alright, after a whole bunch of cutting and trimming, I've trimmed the top edge lip off these, so there's just a little bit of roll to fit the frame nice. And then I've got my, I already showed you these, the teardrop cutouts cut back here. I ground those up smooth. So what I'm working on now is the axle cutout, because the frame rail is right back here at this level here, and obviously the rear end too would be about here, so I need all this for clearance. So I simply cut it at a slight angle here. I've got some 1/8 inch flat stock that's the same, pretty much this is like 14 gauge, so this is as close as I can get to thickness wise, but I'm making a little step, and it's just going to weld on here, and it'll take the shape of the edge here up and over, and it'll tie it all nice and together good. Mumbly. Let me say that again. It'll tie all this shape in, the contours will flow real nice, and it'll make a nice pocket for the rear end to work in and not bottom out into the frame cover here. So I've bent up one piece. I've got to bend up the one for the other side. Then I'm going to get out my welder and weld her up. I'm going to clamp a piece of straight tubing across the back of this to make sure this thing doesn't get bowed, because it's just sheet metal thickness now, but when I weld this back in, it'll stiffen it all up. Alright, bam, check this out. I got my kick-up all welded in here nice, and I got a piece of angle iron bracing the back of this to keep it straight, but that's all welded in nice. Now I've also gone ahead and made the pocket here. I simply took a piece of 1/2 inch wide flat stock, bend it up around to make the shape, and I've got a piece of 16 gauge that I'm waiting to cool down so I can finish welding the rest of it here. but that's going to be nice, and it'll grind up real nice, and just take a little bit of detail work to clean that up. But what I'm working on while that's cooling down is the original cross supports for this bed before I channeled it, riveted in here to these 6 spots here, and I want to make some fake rivets to fill the holes back in. So I've got some 1/4-inch carriage bolts. I'm just going to drill these holes out a little bit and stick the carriage bolts in here. I'll grind the letters off the front and make them smooth like a rivet. And when they fit flush, I'll just zap them on from the back with the welder and then cut the stud off. And I'll have, it'll look like the rivets are still there for the factory look. And the heads on these carriage bolts are about the same size as the rivets that are on the front of the bed where the cross piece used to be. So as soon as this cools down and gets welded up in, I'll be grinding this smooth and putting 6 of those in. And then just a little bit of detail work of the grinder will clean this all up nice, and then this one will be done. The other one, I've already got this piece welded in, and I've just got to make the teardrop for the back of it. But that'll pretty much wrap up the frame covers, and then I'm going to go ahead and next I'll show you the drive shaft, how I got to lengthen that. So let me finish welding these up, and I'll be right back. Just realized I forgot to show you how I made these rear pockets. So I've got is just a piece of 1/8-inch thick flat stock. It might not even be 1/8 inch. Yeah, I think it's 1/8 inch. Anyways, 1/2 inch wide flat stock. And what I'm doing is I just made a couple marks on the back of here, and I'm just forming this to fit around the hole here to make the pocket for this, and I just box the end in with sheet metal. So on the back side I can hold it up to the shape, and I just kind of eyeball it and twist it and bend it around. I'm creeping up on the shape. I've got it good up through here, and I just got to go over here to the vise, and then the vise I got the jaws open a little bit, and I'm just going through here. Let's see, yeah, I'm just going through here and I'm bending it ever just so slightly here and there. Oops, if I go the right way. So I'm pushing on it a little bit. If I can't push it, like it's getting stiff here, that's what she said, I tap on it with a hammer a little bit, just kind of coax it along. It's just like being a blacksmith. And go back over here and line her up, see how the shape's coming along. It's actually coming along good. I just got to straighten this front edge out. Right about here I got to straighten it, put some more twist in it. So I'm pretty much just working shape around. I've got a little flat spot here. I've got to take this out and get it more curved. But I'm pretty much just working it around the flat stock. Then when I get it done, I'll lay right on here and I'll weld it on, and I'll go ahead and then I'll put a box the outside in with sheet metal, and it's just that easy. It's like old school blacksmithing sort of, to make something work. All right, well, the other piece is cooling. I'm going to do some measuring to get my drive shaft remade. This is the drive shaft I had in the truck when I built it originally. Here's the slip yoke here. This goes in this the T4 BorgWarner T4 transmission, which is a 4-speed, without overdrive. It's from an AMC Spirit. They had an Iron Duke in it, so it's got the Chevy bell housing. And this is a shortened AMC Spirit drive shaft, which I had made, but since I've changed the wheelbase on this truck, it's too short. So you can see on my slip yoke here, I've got a engagement, and this is where the seal rides, right about here. So I'm just going to go ahead and slip this back into the transmission. Right up to about where I need it for slip action. I'm going to go all the way in, and I'm going to bring it back out about 1 inch. It's got a lot of engagement on this one. So what I need to do is measure from the center of the yoke here on the U-joint. I got to measure center of the yoke to the center of the yoke to get a new dimension, to get the new shaft made. And I can tell the drive shaft company what to do. So on its forward rear end, the center of these, where the straps would go, is right to the center of the U-joint. So I'm going to measure from this face up to the center, which you probably can't see on the camera, but up to the center of the U-joint on this side, and that'll give me a dimension of what I need to make the drive shaft overall, and I'll just tell them that dimension. So I've got about 31.5 there, and it should be the same here roughly, give or take. Yeah, 31.5. So right now the current drive shaft is only 27. So they got to add they've got to add 4.5 inches. So what they'll do is they'll go and they'll cut this weld, and they'll pull this rear yoke out, and they'll cut the weld on the front here, and they'll throw this tube away, and they'll make a new tube that's long enough to make it center to center 31.5. So what I'll do is I'll draw a little sketch, and I'll take this over to the drive shaft company in town that does like truck drive shafts and U-joints and all that, and they'll cut both yokes out, and they'll make a new tube, and they'll weld it back together and balance it, and then I'll have the correct length drive shaft to put back in here. So I need to do that before I take the rear end out. So I'm glad I remembered to do that, or else it'd put me behind, because when I disassemble all this, I'm going to send the box off to get sandblasted. I can have the drive shaft getting made and a couple other things while things are apart that can get done all at the same time, so I don't have to wait. And when I get everything painted up, then I can just put it all back together. So, got the drive shaft figured out. Let me go ahead and finish welding up this other frame cover, and then we'll see what the next step is. So, there we go. Got everything all welded up, all ground down, but this video is so long, I'm going to have to cut it off because I can't fit the rest of this stuff in one video. So it's going to cut off here. Next time I'm going to be taking the chassis, which is over here. I'm going to be pulling the suspension out, pulling the front and rear axle out, pulling the motor and transmission out, and stripping it down to the bare frame, welding it all up, getting it ground down, and getting some primer and paint on it. Going to be cleaning up the rear end, getting ready to do that. Going to do new seals and brakes and that in a future video as well. And then move on to the front I-beam Ford axle with a disc brake kit. I'll show you how to do that, and pretty much clean it out, run some new brake lines, and get everything all buttoned up, get the chassis rolling, and then time to get back on the cab and finish the roof and tip the cab back on the frame, and we'll go from there. So, as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm putting out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. Go ahead and hit a button over there, hit that to subscribe, and going to be working on this project for a while, but got some other tricks up my sleeve, so you got to stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we'll see you again at the Quick Speed Shop.